All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Taylor Miller, and I'm the festival director here at Slamdance and a co-founder of Slamdance Unstoppable. So today's webinar is titled Unseen to Unstoppable, Disabled Filmmakers Reshape U.S. Cinema. And it's an epic title for an epic showcase. People are still coming in. Let me begin with a visual self-description of myself. I have blonde hair just past my shoulders. I'm wearing headphones. I have glasses on and a black t-shirt that says Bonjour Berlin. And I'm currently at the Slamdance headquarters in Los Angeles. So yes, as I said, today's webinar titled Unseen to Unstoppable, Disabled Filmmakers Reshape U.S. Cinema. Yes, this is a webinar, but it's also part of something much bigger that we are building together. At Slamdance, we don't believe that your journey begins and ends with a festival screening. And that's why so many incredible things about Slamdance are year-round. And one of those is Slamdance Polytechnic, which if you were able to attend our festival in person or online on the Slamdance channel, we were able to provide some incredible, epic Market Monday and other amazing panels for our year-round educational initiative. And that exists to give filmmakers like the amazing ones here that are on our webinar as panelists, as well as attendees that are watching today, real tools to build sustainable creative careers. So Polytechnic is where we host workshops, webinars, conversations, everything from distribution, fundraising, to audience building, longevity, authenticity, accessibility. And this conversation right there is about that. Unstoppable on the Road, a bold 7-city showcase in the United States this summer, disability-led cinema that launches exactly 1 week from today in Salt Lake City at the epic Salt Lake Film Society Broadway cinema location. And these filmmakers today aren't just breaking ground or, they're creating completely new infrastructure and ways to communicate storytelling. They're reshaping it. And today you get the amazing opportunity to hear directly from them, their process, their passion, their power, and how they're prepping and their process for Unstoppable on the Road. This webinar is grounded in a value that drives everything we do here at Slamdance, and that's accessibility. So not just physical accessibility, but economic, cultural, artistic access. This summer, we're showing these films in some of the most legendary art house theaters in the country, venues that have premiered incredible, radical, independent work for many decades. And now they're hosting Slamdance Unstoppable on the Road. Before we begin, and I mention our incomparable moderator, as well as our legendary filmmakers and films, some housekeeping, as the team likes to say. Within this webinar, we have auto-generated captions, and they're available. So if you do not see them currently, please click the CC icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen to enable those. Drop your questions into the Zoom chat at any time. They'll be collected and answered during our Q&A starting at the 1-hour mark. This session is being recorded and it'll be published on the Slamdance channel after the event. And the webinar session will be 90 minutes in length. And okay, so that's our housekeeping. Finally, it's my honor to introduce our moderator today, Miss Juliet Romeo. It's not just me; everybody calls her the Queen of Unstoppable, and I think other things. Juliet is not only a dear friend of mine, but a brilliant filmmaker, a fierce disability advocate, and the reason we are all here today. 6 years ago, Juliet wrote a letter to Slamdance president and Slamdance co-founder Peter Baxter. Peter's also a co-founder of Unstoppable. And she asked, why aren't film festivals more inclusive and accessible for the disability community? That letter changed the trajectory and the direction, and it led to the creation of Slamdance Unstoppable. Also, Steve Way, I see Steve's legend Steve Way. He's also a co-founder of Unstoppable. So happy you're here, Steve. So today's webinar, this tour, this platform, it all started because one filmmaker asked the right question and refused to wait for the system to change. Juliet, we love you. I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm gonna state the names and the films of all of the filmmakers that are here with us, and then I will, I guess, officially turn it over to you. Today we have Lee Pugsley. Audio description is the film. We have Nicholas Paul Ybarra, Call the ADA. We have Andrew Abrahams and Donna Sullivan from Complicated. Cameron S. Mitchell and Steve Way from Disposable Humanity. We have Andrew Reed from Iron Lung. Bing Wang, Loud Love. Alexander Freeman, My Own Normal. Daisy Rosado from Possum. Suzanne Schwibs and Robert Arnove from Thunder Rolls, The World of Blind Baseball. We have Hannah Curie, Helen Sim Robertson from Working Differently. All right, Juliet Romeo.
Thank you so much, Taylor. That was awesome. All right, guys, we finally made it to this kickoff for Unstoppable on the Road. This has been, I think, probably a dream and an idea from the very beginning. Like, oh, well, we can't stop with slam dance. How can we get everyone to be a part of what we know Unstoppable could achieve? And this is like I said before, I feel like this is my own little Beyonce tour. Like everyone is gonna come out and really, be gung ho for Unstoppable. And I can't wait to see like everyone show up for the kickoff in Salt Lake. And I'm definitely really excited that it's going to be in Miami, where Taylor and I live. So it'll finally come to us, right? Um, but I'm really very excited about the this amazing list, this roster of filmmakers that was selected for this inaugural Unstoppable on the Road. Um, I'm just gonna dive into these questions because I feel like right now it's such an amazing time. Like it's a really pertinent time to be discussing disability access, um, what it looks like or doesn't look like. Um, Now, I feel like there was a time where things were really looking up, and well, now we're in this like political landscape where it's starting to remind us of things from our past that we don't want to happen again. But I feel very empowered by the community that I know we have all built, and these films and these expressions of creativity um, really give me comfort that we are not only going to stay on the right track and go in the right direction, but also we are definitely going to fight and be a force to reckon with these folks that are trying to create the opposite effect.
I think each of us have had the amazing, gift to really be able to talk about this in such a safe space. And, this is an extraordinary um, moment slash movement. And I want to see if each of you could just speak to what is the change that you are hoping that, what is the change that you want your film or collectively, because I know for all of you, what's so amazing is how selfless each of you are. And it's incredible when I've had the opportunity to speak with y'all. You speak about the showcase on behalf of it, which is just really like incredible and amazing. But I just want to hear more about, what is the change that you hope to make individually, but also collectively doing this showcase this summer. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I like to say
Donna? Okay, Donna, and then Robert.
Great. I think it's a really important question. And I just wanted to share a conversation that I had at a recent showing of our film, where one of the members of our community came up and just said, I can't thank you enough for this film because honestly, like I'm so used to kind of being fringe. Nobody sees our problems. Nobody really cares. These hills are so high to climb. And just to see it on the big screen. And for me to be able to say to them, yeah, and it's going on tour with Slamdance very soon. You can share it with more of your friends and family and just kind of to get that reaction like, oh my gosh. So like for me, I think it's the empowered validation that this tour is giving to the important messages and movements that are behind these films is really kind of taking it, to that grassroots level. And so, I think for me, the two words I would choose would kind of the empowerment that you're giving not only the filmmakers, but the communities and the people that we're trying to reach. And then just like I said, just validation.
Yeah, I love that. The empowered validation. Robert?
Well, the people talked about the film about the Holocaust. They mentioned the national climate. So we have a national climate coming out of the White House and out of state legislatures that are clamping down and closing programs on diversity, equity, and inclusion. At the same time, they supposedly want this in what's taught in schools. I am now making a new documentary on my university, exactly on what they're doing to close down diversity. And I think as a filmmaker, I'm trying to use my tools that say we can fight, we can resist these efforts to present a very narrow view of what is normal and not start punishing anything that is deviant or different, whether it's gender identity or what. So I think what you're doing with this festival is extraordinarily important as a form of resistance and affirmation of the importance of diversity and the wonderful world we live in of people with all kinds of abilities.
Yeah. Resistance and affirmation and empowered validation. I'm feeling all of these words that's being said. I'm so excited. And Lee, I see your hand is up. This was a really good question, Taylor.
Could I just add to that
You're on mute still, Lee. I think Lee was trying to say something.
oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Lee. Go ahead, Lee.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to kind of touch on the question that you asked, Taylor, about like what is the significance of, what does it mean to be a part of Unstoppable on the road? And I just want to say that like the thoughts that come to mind for me are, first of all, storytelling and film is such a powerful medium. It has the power to reshape perspectives, introduce people to new perspectives, to kind of rethink old perspectives or perceptions they have. And I think by putting these films that are centered on disability, bringing them all around the country, I think that the potential for thinking to be reshaped, for people to be exposed to new perspectives that they haven't thought of and to be introduced or, going deeper into different walks of life and seeing that authenticity on screen. Number one, it normalizes it. Number two, it helps people think outside the box and see how beautiful and harmonious our world actually is when we bring our authentic experiences to light. So I think that just that in and of itself is a really powerful thing. And then beyond that, just giving us as filmmakers visibility, allowing people to see what we are capable of, but also the creativity that we can also offer and the unique skills that we can bring to the table. that's really powerful too, and having that visibility and just normalizing disability in so many different ways by doing what you guys are doing with Unstoppable on the Road. That's what's so significant and impactful to me, and I'm so grateful to all of you for that.
So great.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Lee.
I think Slamdance is started off as and it still is, this grassroots movement, right? And I think even as we made that move from Park City to LA, I see that in what we're doing now. Like this is almost like a this radical, just kind of jumping on tour. I kind of feel like we're like all in this, like, little van going to all these amazing places and letting people know what we're doing, and creating awareness in all these cities. And I'm excited to see who we're going to touch and how we're going to touch and impact in all of these different cities. I feel like there's an energy amongst all of these films where it's creating awareness for a specific disability, but then also impacting on such another level that touches on some social commentary that we're all dealing with in this world. And I think that this is completely different than any year that we have had to deal with so far. Do you guys agree with that?
Absolutely. And, I think to answer your original question about being from unseen to unstoppable, being unseen is something that's really had a significant impact in my life, kind of through my film journey. My non-visible disabilities became more visible to me, not just to others. They say the average process of diagnosis takes 30 some years. And, from my first film to my current film, I have, ADHD now, I have a spinal cord injury. There are parts of me that have kind of come out through film. And I think the power of film is to show us ourselves as we are. And I've always felt that as an artist, committing things to film is like getting to share a part of yourself that you don't get to, even with your closest friends and family sometimes, because it's a time traveling medium, right? Time is kind of suspended in film. And we're able to jump and go to all these places that may or may not be accessible out in the real physical world, and then to bring disabled people, physical and non-disabled, onto the screen, and to understand that power. As a cinematographer, someone who is in Local 600, I know the power of that camera. When you point that camera at somebody, it has such a power to highlight and to amplify and to make something exist that might have maybe felt like it didn't exist, but it was with us all along. We just didn't know it. It just wasn't in front of us. And so, my goal with Disposable Humanity was to make this history surface, right? Action T4 catalyzed the Holocaust. This is a huge, it's like the missing step it's like missing the step in evolution, like not having that information. And I just think that that's the power of cinema. The power of cinema is to make something unseen seen.
So let's just get started. I'm going to start with the person that's in front of me. When I saw this film, I literally jumped for joy because, as Taylor and Peter know, every year I'm like, how can we step up the game? How can we step up the game? We've got we have access as far as like closed captioning. We've now shown filmmakers worldwide why closed captioning is important and to bring in new audiences. And then Lee Pugsley and this amazing film audio description was like, this is exactly how I'm going to show everyone else that this is the next step. Like, this is how audio description should be. And so, Lee Pugsley, let's talk. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me today. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you, Lee. So, tell me, what was your inspiration behind audio description, and tell us a little bit about the film.
Yeah, so for context, the film audio description is about a lonely blind man who makes a wish on his birthday and realizes that he can start not only hearing the voice of the audio description narrator, but also interacting with that voice. And by the end of the film, they become friends. It's a very nice little short buddy comedy. And one of the reasons that this film was so important to me, and I guess the inspiration for this film is as a visually impaired filmmaker and film viewer, I use audio description when I see movies to give me a more clear picture of what's going on. For those that may not know what audio description is, it's a narration track that describes the action of a movie between lines of dialogue. This also happens for a lot of TV shows as well. And so for those people that are blind or low vision, you don't always you can miss out on those text conversations or subtitles or just visual details of a film. So me and my director Luke Selesky were thinking, how can we introduce people to the world of audio description in a way that's not just like that's not just like lecturing, but in a very fun way. And so we figured the best way to do it would be to present it in this buddy comedy and do it in a way that unites both the blind and sighted audiences to have the same experience that will hopefully help to bridge the gap and people can understand the importance of audio description as it relates to accessibility and expanding the reach of an audience to be more more inclusive.
And it definitely was. I'd never seen a film like that, where it was, you know how you say you're breaking the fourth wall? It's like, which wall is this, that was being broken down, that now the audio description had actually become a character in the story. It was really amazing. I also want to say, like, in 2023, I did a film and I had the opportunity to get audio description for that film. And just listening to the audio description was beautiful. That now I understood that my audience, that I had an audience that was going to see the film in the way that they're able to see and enjoy the film. And it was just really beautiful. Like, I remember sitting back, closing my eyes and just listening to the audio. And it just really brought me enormous joy to know that I would be able to share my work with another group of people I that didn't have an opportunity before. And I always encourage people to get audio description, get closed captioning, because there's so many people there's such a big audience that we're leaving behind. Like, as filmmakers, all we want to do is get our work in front of people. So why would we think to leave anyone behind, right? So yeah, it's amazing.
Well, thank you so much. And the other thing about audio description, I just want to say really quick, is there's so many benefits for other people. Like if you're, fully sighted, you're cooking dinner in the other room or doing chores around the house, you can still follow what's going on and you're not going to have to come back in and be like, I have to rewind that 10 minutes. And I always tell people, if you're a writer, even though a screenplay and audio description script are different, watch audio description because it teaches you how to use the economy of words to create a very vivid picture in the most efficient way.
Very good point. That it can be used in different ways, and that accessibility works for everyone. That's really what it boils down to. So Lee, can you tell us when and where we're going to see your film during the tour?
Yes. So audio description will be in Salt Lake City next week. We'll also be playing in Seattle and Milwaukee, and I can't remember if I'm missing a city. I know those three though, for sure.
Well, that's awesome. If you guys want to know any more, definitely reach out to Lee. Do you have a Instagram?
Yeah, I'm sorry, one more stop, Santa Ana as well
All
on June
right.
19th. And you can reach out to me at Lee Pugsley LA on Instagram. That's LeePugsleyLA. And I would be happy to talk to anyone more about the film or about audio description in general.
Thanks so much, Lee.
Thank you.
And segueing right into another film that also kind of brought accessibility to the forefront in a very comedic way. Nicholas Ybarra in Call the ADA. Um, awesome project. I truly enjoyed watching watching this film and the detective, the idea of this detective trying to um it was just hilarious. It really was. What made you guys come up with this idea?
Juliet's a big sleuth. Yeah, any like detect. Yeah, so this was like,
Yeah.
Well, I think that was our goal and that was our aim because it is such a lovable genre, and our writer and co-producer David Radcliffe came up with the brilliant concept, and I think a lot of it came from the heart, and a lot of it came from lived-in experience. He's a writer with cerebral palsy, so a lot of stuff was just things that he had experienced, and I think it just flew out of him like in a couple of drafts. It was not hard to come up with, and kind of like Lee, we thought comedy would be a terrific equalizer and a terrific gateway for people without disabilities to kind of have this educational approach to the Americans with Disabilities Act, which obviously is very important right now, and even more important now than it was when we made it a year ago. But yeah, we try and tackle that subject in a very entertaining and comedic way. So,
Yeah.
as a director, my job was just to not screw that up, which hopefully I didn't do.
You did, and it was great. What do you want audiences to take away from, you mentioned like that, the the um the Disabilities Act is more important even now, than when you made it a year ago. What do you think was the idea a year ago, and how has that changed or evolved?
I think it's just something that is a persistent goal and mission of me as a filmmaker, and I know David as a filmmaker. Um, I'm a big cinephile. I love cinema, and I think it's a wonderful love language. And I think the more diverse stories that we tell, the better, the more open hearts and open minds we get. So, hopefully I talk to a lot of people who watch this who don't have disabilities that didn't know what the Americans with Disabilities Act was, and didn't know that this was a fictional world where there was a branch of law enforcement that was enforcing the ADA. A lot of people that I spoke to did not know what the ADA was. So that was already a huge educational lift for people right off the bat. But, watching a movie like Call the ADA or some of the other amazing films that we're going to be screening, yeah, just hope that it opens minds and hearts and minds. Just think, a little bit more about like accessibility. Think before they vote, or think before they step into an establishment that's not accessible, or think before they leave an electronic scooter in the middle of a sidewalk that a wheelchair user can't then use that sidewalk because there's an electronic scooter right in the middle of it. But also, do it all in an entertaining and accessible way for every audience.
Well, I think that it might not be a bad idea to have law enforcement branch for the ADA. I every day want to give someone a ticket for something. So.
That's right. Yeah, that was our goal, and we've been blessed to be able to make some more Call the ADA mini episodes that will be coming out later this
Oh,
year.
yeah.
We hope to make even more. So we're all in full board.
And so tell us where on the tour will you guys be screening?
We'll be screening June 19th in Santa Ana. I believe that's the date. And July 6th in Seattle, and July 19th, 20th, one of those dates in Milwaukee as well.
Phenomenal. And how can we reach out to you and follow you guys?
You can find me at Nicholas Ibarra on Instagram. And I believe my writer, co-producer, David Radcliffe, is also on Instagram, and I think it's his name. I should look that up. Sorry, David.
Awesome.
Just message me. I'll connect you with him.
Thank you. I cannot wait for everyone to see the film. It's really funny, and I'm wishing you the best of luck on the tour.
Oh, thank you, Juliet.
And Bing Wang. Bing, please tell us more about I Love Out Loud.
Yep, sure. Thank you, Juliet. And before I start, just to quickly describe myself, I'm Asian male wearing glasses and a pinkish cardigan. And I'm doing this webinar in my bedroom in New York City. So my film Loud Love is a documentary feature about a gay deaf couple, Alan and Brian, raising their hearing twins in New York City. So the film is about their 9 years. Oh no, it's like revisits their 7 years international service journey in India, the controversy around it, and also look at the present days, like their parenthood. We followed Alan Bryan and the family for about 9 years to document their parenting journey and the growth of the kids and all the communicational barriers unique to their family, but also very commonly shared by other hearing families. So, and I really want to thank Slamdance and especially the Unstoppable team for providing the platform to showcase the film. This is I think it's the end of our festival run. We've been running for a whole year, but most importantly, I want to thank you guys for treating the film with respect and decency. And I'm saying that now, not just about the larger disability and accessibility discourse, because I'm pretty sure later we're going to dive into that, and everyone has your insights about the topic. I mean, just speaking from this film last year in the festival circuit. Like how many times, I don't know, like I'm pretty sure my fellow filmmakers can relate to for different reasons, audio description and for like ASL interpretation, like an interpreter. And like, of course, accessibility for wheelchair users, many like aspects of this issue. How many times we begged, we argued, we negotiated in a forceful way for an accessible screening. So thank you for helping the film and giving us the well-deserved respect and decency.
No thanks. No thanks needed. I cannot understand why anything like that needs to be negotiated. It's like walking into the room and saying, "Hey, can we talk about light because I can't see in the dark?" Like you automatically expect a light switch to be there. You automatically expect a pen to be available if someone is asking you to sign something. Like, why is it not expected for someone that has an accessible need to be able to have that access to the thing that they need in order to achieve the event that's happening? Like, and how can you actually have a documentary about a deaf couple and not expect that we will need accessibility. You know, that's the interesting thing that there's a disconnect, and films like these, films like yours, they help to create that, fill in that gap so that people kind of understand. It's really interesting because we are, we have embraced the disability, the word disability, but it has dawned on me many times in experiencing a lot of events and going to places where I think that the disability is on the other side, like the inability for people to comprehend and understand what is needed. That just really seems like simple, common sense things. And it's really just the way the society has always been. And it's just this comfortability of this is quote unquote normal. And I love that films like yours help to, again, fill in that gap and explain to people why other things are needed. And your film was not it. The difference between some of the films we just discussed was that your film was not a slam dance, was not screening and Slamdance, but we searched it out. We really wanted to see what else was out there. We know that there's amazing films that have disability storylines or made by filmmakers with disabilities that, you know, got selected somewhere else or championed somewhere else. And we heard great things about it. And Taylor definitely, was like, oh, we got to get these other films too. So um, I'm really glad that we were able to bring you into our Unstoppable fold for this tour. So thank you.
Thank you. And by the way, my film is opening the first stop of Unstoppable Journey in Salt Lake City on June 10th, 7 p.m.
Awesome. Where else can we reach out to you and find out what's going on and follow your journey?
Thank you. You can follow the film Loud Love, doc, DOC, so Loud Love doc on Instagram and Facebook.
Thank you. Ah, Miss Donna Sullivan and Complicated is next. Donna, Complicated. I actually have a film called Uncomplicated, so I always get ready to say that, but it's not. But it is very similar where we're talking about chronic uh, diseases and non-visible illnesses. Tell us more about your feature. You have a feature documentary, so tell us more about that.
Sure, yes. Andrew Abrahams and I, Andrew's our director who's with us today. Excuse me.
Hi, Andrew.
Film called Complicated, and it essentially, like you, I'm a member of the community and also a patient advocate. And for many years, we were watching this population of kids that were coming to our nonprofit for help, struggling to get help in our healthcare system. And this was before words like gaslighting were part of kind of the mainstream awareness. But, because of that, we decided we really wanted to kind of look into that. And as we were watching what was happening to these kids when they were trying to access our healthcare system, because their conditions were so complicated, they kind of existed in a place that's very common for people with rare disease, where there's a gap between the research and the clinical care. So Andy and I just kind of dove in, and it took us many years to make the film. Andrew really had a huge challenge ahead of him because our film is really a real true movie with a mission, like so many documentaries. But we also have this really built-in community of people who are living with these invisible illnesses and struggling to get validation and to be believed in medical settings. And we really ran into some really dark margins in our medical system in terms of bias, in terms of access to care issues. And what we realized the more we looked is that a lot of these problems people are very aware of, but they're not able to really speak up and talk about them. So our film is really, you can't fix a problem if you can't talk about it. And we took a real deep dive into the margins of our medical system through a condition called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, to take a look at what was happening to these families. And we went into some really dark places that were kind of at the intersection of medical awareness, child protection, the law, and parental rights.
Yeah,
So
I think I want. So sorry, I just wanted to jump in here. I think, to sort of like frame it in this milieu of disability. I think our film Complicated, it's what happens when disability is not seen. And, so we're looking at an invisible illness, which is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is really a microcosm for other illnesses too that aren't visible. And so what are the downstream effects of that? And as Donna said, medical gaslighting, um, children who are being families that are being threatened, children that are being taken away from the family, or mothers, usually it's the mother, not the father, that are being removed from the family unit because of accusations of medical child abuse. So on the surface, you might look at our film and think, where's the disability? Some people with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome look fine. Others are in wheelchairs and have cervical collars. But they're all disabled in a way, and we need to acknowledge that disability, because when we don't, that's why we're seeing the as Donna said, the dark places, where people, and especially children, go unnoticed, uncared for, undiagnosed, misdiagnosed, um, and ultimately, in some cases, um, it's lethal that they die. And in some cases, the family unit is destroyed. So we're looking at all of that in the context of disability. And I wanted to add one other thing here that I think is important around your discussion of disabled filmmakers. Um, while I'm not a person affected by Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, um, what I've seen in my films, many of which have been about medical issues, is that the pioneers, the people who are really making a difference, have been affected personally. And so what we've seen in Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, what's happening right now, is that people who've experienced it in their own lives are making changes, are making genetic discoveries that will affect and help the whole community. And so I like how you're embedding this question of 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 the inclusion of people who are affected by the issues that we're discussing. Obviously, it's not the only way to address problems, but it's part of the solution. And so I'm glad that we're also part of that solution in being here. And I
Yeah,
thank you.
absolutely. I definitely related very closely to this film because I too have a um, non-visible disease. I have sickle cell disease. A lot of the things that you just mentioned about being ignored in the hospital, not being believed about my pain, I have gone through a lot of that. And the one thing I'm always really very proud of is that when I, had the idea about Unstoppable and spoke to Peter and Taylor, it was really about the fact that I was struggling trying to navigate festivals. But as I was going to these festivals, I think I saw uh uh another participant and they were a wheelchair user. And then I said to myself, I'm literally running out of breath, passing out, being taken away by the ambulance at some of these festivals. Um, and I can actually walk. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are the struggles that's happening to other people that have physical, like, you know, physical disabilities or that have visible disabilities? What are the struggles here? Can people get into doorways? I can't even get upstairs. Um, so how I'm struggling to get up some stairs, narrow stairs. They can't even attempt to do it. Like, this is ridiculous. Um, and so I started to realize really non-visible disabilities and visible disabilities are really not that different. We're all needing something, and we need these people to listen to what it is we need instead of diminishing it to like, well, it's not that important, or it's just a flight of stairs. It's only 2 blocks away. Like those kind of little things would really drive me nuts. But what I also similar to what's going on with me and sickle cell and what is happening in complicated is that your film has become this voice for a community. So how has your film become an advocate for patients and their parents? How has it changed even on the legal or political side?
Do you want to take that one, Andrew, or you want me to take it?
No, I think you should. I think you should take it. Donna is embedded in the community, and she herself has 3 kids who are affected by this illness. So, I want to say that, and I think it would be better for you to answer.
Okay, no, that's fine. And Juliet, you raised such an important point because no matter what your disability is or your illness, if you live this life, you know this life. And I think that's what kind of connects us all, some of the challenges that you were talking about. And, we just have so much gratitude for Slamdance for giving our community and our issues that we're trying to bring to the surface oxygen. Because, as I started to say, we have a really big mission. We have this giant community of people that are unseen. Let's be honest, this is not a great time for people with disability. People are kind of retreating and there's a lot of uncertainty. Access to healthcare is an issue. And I think for us, we have this massive community that has been wanting to talk about all these horrible things that are happening to us, but don't really have a way to do it. And they're not really validated. So, for us, this documentary is really a tool for advocacy. And not only, we've run into some real interesting challenges because within the community, they have certain advocacy needs that they want to use the film a certain way. But within the medical community now, we are opening up dialogues that people weren't really able to have prior to this because talking about this topic and some of the controversy around it is really quote unquote complicated, right? That's how we got the name for our film. But if you look at the legal advocacy that is looking at this film as a tool and the medical advocacy, the needs are all a little bit different, but they're all coming to that same intersection to try to make it better for human beings who are living with disability and chronic illness. So, our film is just launching with Slamdance. We're so excited about the tour, but we're getting calls from all over because I think we've created this piece of media, right, that is so important in our storytelling here that is hopefully going to be a launch pad for advocacy. And we just came back from a medical conference where they're opening one of the first clinics for our condition, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, down in South Carolina. We have another medical conference where we're all going to be going to Capitol Hill and meeting with lawmakers to talk about some of the legislative needs of the community. So, I think, every documentary that we create as filmmakers, the goal is to raise awareness and hopefully move the needle and change minds and hearts. And I think, in this particular case with our film, we're really trying to push some big changes that hopefully are going to help people regardless of your condition, regardless of your disability, and most importantly, get people talking and acknowledging the problem. So again, for that, we're just so grateful and we can't wait to take it on the road and, let people start, seeing the film.
Well, I'm so proud that Unstoppable and Slamdance could be the platform to help push that out there and get people to see it. And these are the type of films, and there's so many other films we're going to get to as well, that I'm so proud that Slamdance was able to bring to the forefront. But please tell us where you're going to be screening during the tour and where we can reach you on your social media.
Sure. We
Yes.
want to we're going to keep on each other because we're like a married couple, right? When you're working.
The film's going to be showing at Salt Lake City, in Seattle and Milwaukee, and you can find us at complicatedthemovie.com. And there's links to social media and email and other things there.
Thank you. And that was a really serious, very political, energized conversation. But I want to take it back to something a little funny, but also has some very serious notes to it. And that would be Daisy and Sophia in Possum.
Hi.
Possum is so good. Tell us more about Possum.
Thank you. I'm Daisy. I use she, her pronouns. I'm wearing a pink jacket and I have short red hair. My voice is a little deep right now. I'm getting over COVID, which I had last week. And this is Sophie next to me.
Hi, I'm Sophie. My pronouns are they, them. I'm a white trans non-binary person with a middle part, dyed blonde hair, and a tan patterned polo.
And Sophie produced Possum and wrote it and was also in it, and I directed it and co-wrote it. Yeah, Possum's about a artist residency that is vegan only until the head of the residency kills the possum that's been eating the cauliflower in their community garden. The possum is a puppet. There's a lot of comedy and absurdity in the film, and also a lot of horror elements.
But there's definitely a social commentary. What do you want the audience to receive from Possum?
Yeah, I think you know, we are in an interesting moment, but I'd even look at the past 5 years and shine some light on cancel culture and how we've been dealing with conflict. And Possum really exposes the worst parts of ourselves in honest and funny ways, in order to really look at and interrogate what it means to make a mistake, what it means to disagree, and that, if you make a mistake, you will survive. And it's complicated.
Very true. Very true. Tell us where you guys are going to be on the tour.
So, yeah, in June, we will be in Seattle. Sorry, my brain
July.
In July, we
Yeah.
will be in Seattle and Milwaukee. And in August, we will be in Miami.
Yes.
Excited. Please bring the possum to Miami.
Oh, yeah. We
Uh,
have her still, and she's doing well. I'm not exactly. She's sleeping
she's
right now.
Packed away for her safety.
well, thank you guys. Oh, yeah. Please tell us your social media where we can follow you and the possum. And she does have a name, right?
Yes, her name is Rebecca. Possum has a website, possumthemovie.com. We also have an Instagram, which is also at Possum the Movie. You can also find that through the website, and you can find our handles through the Instagram.
I'm definitely looking forward to seeing some possum reels.
Yes, we're really excited.
Thank you guys so much. We can't wait to see you, especially in Miami. So we'll see each other in person.
Thank you.
The next person on our list is Andrew Reed with Iron Lung, a very great film. I mean, I would have to say solid in its perfection of cinematography and filmmaking. Andrew, there's so much I could say about you and how much I love your work, but I want you to tell the audience about Iron Lung and what it's about.
Thank you, Juliet. So Iron Lung is a story of two sisters. One has polio, one is her caretaker, and how a severe storm knocks out the power to the house, which knocks out also the power to the iron lung, and how these two sisters have to figure out a way to survive the night while the polio sister, is literally struggling to breathe. It's a thriller. It's a story. For those who are not aware, iron lungs are devices that were very popular in the 1950s. It's literally a metallic cylindrical device that, like, from the neck down, a person would live in. Some would just sleep in it at night, but pretty much it's a dated ventilator, as it were, to help people breathe. And iron lungs are more likely to be seen in museums now. than to be used. But up until last year, there was one person still living, breathing, using the iron lung day to day
Wow.
for their survival. And in the early 2000s, there was many people who lived in the iron lung still, and this situation actually happened to them. Like the inspiration from the story came from true events of polio patients living in iron lungs, storms knocking out the power, and medical assistance not coming in time to save them. And people have with disabilities have actually passed due to not receiving care in time, which iron lung or not is, obviously in the disabled community, something that we have to be concerned about. So, for me, whenever I'm trying to tackle as a filmmaker with a disability, I walk with a cane, um, trying to find, original and new ways to, explore the disabled community in film. I'm always looking for stories that are resonant, not just with the disabled community, but with general audiences. And I'm also looking for movies that have commercial elements, and this one just immediately gripped me because it's a thriller, it's a ticking clock, it's a story that I think outside of disability would entertain and has layers to it, and those are the stories I try to tell.
Yeah, I think definitely what I think is so prolific about it is that, this was submitted for this year, Slamdance 2025. And so you probably made it back in like 23, 24, but then in 2025, LA has these huge fires, people need to evacuate, and there's a very distinct conversation about the lack of access and support and help for rescuing people or getting to people with disabilities during um, tragedies, or when we need to leave an area. There is no access to get some people with disabilities to safety. And I think that not even me as a programmer, because it didn't happen yet, but then I realized, wow, this is a conversation. This is exactly what Iron Lung is about. Um, you know, kind of in a sort of way. Like, how do you feel about that?
Oh, I 100% agree. The writer V Saye and I, were freaking collaborators, and we were texting when it happened. I mean, we can get into a whole different webinar on medical care in America, but just for the sake of this conversation, we'll keep it specific. And obviously, when it comes to medical assistance for people with disabilities, it's an ongoing conversation, iron lung or not, that still needs work, a lot of work here.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait for everyone to see it. Like you said, it definitely has a commercial value to it. It could have been a feature. Like it was really good. It has all the pieces. And you do that so well, Andrew. You really do. Um, Andrew was also one of our inaugural Slam Dance filmmakers back in 2021, and to have you back again and be a part of this tour is really exciting. Um, so tell us, where will we be seeing you on the tour?
Well, thank you for having me on this tour. And yeah, I'm excited about all the places it's screening. So, we'll be in June in Santa Ana, California. No, 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 correction. June, Salt Lake City to start, June 10th to 12th, and then we'll be June 19th in Santa Ana, and then July 6th in Seattle, July 18th and 19th in Milwaukee, and then we will be finishing up in August, early August in Miami. So
Awesome. Thank you. Where can we reach you or find out more about the film?
yeah, so I am developing it into a feature, so that's something that V and I are actively working on, and all updates on that project and all my other projects. You can just reach me on Instagram, at read the story at read the story, but read spelled like my last name, REID. I'll put it in the chat.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now we have Hannah Curie with Working Differently. Hannah, please tell us more about your short film, um, and how it promotes awareness and understanding for the neurodivergent community.
Thank you so much. Hello, I'm Hannah. I'm apologize for my very drab surroundings. I'm in an Airbnb right now. I'm a very pale and tired looking Scottish woman in her 30s. I just gave birth 6 weeks ago, so that's my excuse. And I'm here with my one of the producers from the film, Helen Sim Robertson, who's a far more glamorous looking woman in her 30s in far more flamboyant surroundings than I am. Um, yeah, working definitely came about. It's kind of a departure from the type of documentary films I normally make, which tend to be really personal human stories and quite observational, following people, but always kind of following the underdog. But working definitely was created as a resource, a kind of good practice guide for the film and television industry. To try and promote understanding and awareness of neurodivergence in the industry and create a better environment for people to work within our industry. And when I was kind of approached to pitch on the film, it was at a time where I was kind of becoming more aware of neurodivergence and the fact that the kind of anxiety and chaos that my mind had been maybe actually due to neurodivergence. So it was really while I was making the film, I was also discovering a lot about myself and stripping away a lot of the kind of the preconceptions that I had about neurodivergencies and what they meant for people and how they manifested and I had a lot of ideas about what it meant to be autistic or have ADHD, dyslexia, and all of that was kind of just turned on its head. I realized I'd learned a lot, actually, ironically, from film and television that was completely factually incorrect and very stigmatizing. So it's kind of an undoing of all of that, a reframing of what it means to be neurodivergent and how different it is from person to person, and how we can accommodate for that in an industry which is very fast-paced and quite often quite unkind and quite often quite small-minded in the way that it operates.
Yeah. Definitely is true, and it does bring awareness to that. And um, where are you screening this during
I'll let
the
the
tour?
far more organized producer answer that question.
We are screening in Salt Lake City, Seattle, and Milwaukee.
Thank you, Helen. And where can we find out more about the film or follow you guys on Instagram?
So our film and good practice guide is actually available to watch for free and download for free on the Screen Scotland website. I'll drop a link in the chat. You can also follow us and find information at on Instagram. It's at the Portal Studios UK. Again, I'll pop the details in the chat so everyone can find us. And just wanted to say how thankful we are and appreciate being part of this. Just to have a seat at the table with all of you is just incredible for us. As you'll tell from the accent, we are not from the States. We're over in Scotland. And this is just so lovely for us. And I'm going to take a moment just to say a huge thank you to Michael and Lizzie and the team. My ND brain works overtime and I always have loads of questions and they've all been wonderful at helping me. So thank you so much. And we can't wait to see all of your films as well. They sound amazing, guys. So thank you so much.
Thank you. We really can't wait. We have like less than 4 minutes to Q&A, but last but definitely not least, Disposable Humanity, Cameron Mitchell. Cameron's film won the Audience Award this year at Slamdance, and I'm just gonna let Cameron take it away and tell us about Disposable Humanity.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us. You know, Disposable Humanity is really a timely film right now because of everything that's going on in this country. And I'd say what Slamdance is doing is also incredibly timely because the film looks at Nazi eugenics and the process of eugenics and how it creeps into our populations and takes over our societal mindsets. And when not left unchallenged, it can lead to something as horrific as the Holocaust. So this film is about my family's investigation of that history, which has long remained dormant and not spoken aloud. And It's really my life's work as a filmmaker. I've had other titles at Slamdance. I had Elsa, which was a PBS documentary, and my first narrative short, The Co-op. But this is my first feature film. And I want to let our executive producer, Steve Way, talk a little bit about it as well, because he saw the film and I know it so impacted him that he had to come on.
Yeah, thank you, Cameron. And thank you, Juliet. Um, I thought it was funny, Juliet, when you kept announcing the films and saying, "Oh, this is so funny." And I thought, okay, that's not this movie. Uh, this is the first comedy I've ever done. Sorry, not comedy I've ever done because how important it is. I remember I watched it for the first time last October, and I said to Cameron, if Trump wins the election, it'll be the best PR that we can ask for. Now, that's probably the most cynical thing I've ever said in my life, but it's true. This film shows how you have something as terrible as the Holocaust. Many of us in America say, how could that happen? That could never happen here. Well, it's already started. And just because we don't have gas chambers doesn't mean that they haven't already taken a page out of that playbook. When uh when President Trump blames a midair collision on disabled air traffic controllers, that's how it starts. When Secretary Kennedy says we need a registry for autistic people, that's how it starts. When in less than a month, Congress is going to vote to take away health care from the most vulnerable, vulnerable population. That's how it starts. But this film is, I believe, two halves. The first half is uh, it's a history lesson. Right, this is what happened, how it happened, why it happened. But the other part of it, it's a blueprint for how to resist fascism, how to resist
It is. Yeah.
the the people in power from coming after people like us.
And that's what I like about it is that it's showing that this is something, even though it's talking about the past, it's so reminiscent of what's happening right now that it really wakes you up, it really makes you go, wait, we don't want to go back to that. And it kind of makes it really it every time I saw it with an audience, that's exactly what it did. It made people go, wait a minute, that's what people are saying now. That's what people in power and authority are saying now. We don't really want that to happen again. Um, and I do have to open up for questions. So I know you have a lot more to say, and I'm sure there's a lot of questions already in the chat. But I do want you to tell us where on the tour you will be and where we could find more information about disposable humanity. And then we do have one more film that I made a mistake and skipped, so I apologize for that. So
Yeah, so we're going to be at Salt Lake City at the opening, kicking off the whole tour on the 11th and the 12th. We have two screenings there, one at 4 p.m. and the other in the evening at 9. And then we're going to be at the closing night in Miami. So we get to bookend the entire trip. and this film is just releasing, so we weren't able to participate in some of the other legs of the trip due to premiere requirements in other cities. But we are excited to get to bring this film to every audience as we're able to. And right now, the only way to see this film is by coming to film festivals and seeing us in theaters.
So I just want to say really quickly, I thank you so much, Cameron. Um, I apologize. We did miss one film, My Own Normal, Alexander. Um,
My film also,
oh my goodness,
the role.
I do not see the name. Let's see what do you want to do, Taylor? Because I totally take that mess up. Because I didn't see your name of your film, Robert. So I thought that you might have been tech. I apologize.
No, it's all right. These things happen. Please,
Yeah.
please be, understanding. Or yeah, let's go ahead, please, and take a couple of minutes, and let's intro, and yeah, please speak to the filmmaker, and then after that we'll go right into the questions.
Okay, so you want to start first with what's that, Alex?
Yeah, Alexander. Yeah.
Freeman.
Yeah.
My Own Normal.
Yeah.
Tell us about your film, Alex, which just was very beautiful. One of the ones that choked me up at the festival, and looking forward for everyone else to feel all the feels.
Well, thank you very much. It's very good to be here, and yeah, thank you so much for Unstoppable, and thank you to Slamdance for including it in the festival. Yeah, I'm glad that you felt all the fears, as you say, because it is a roller coaster of emotions, and it is designed to make you feel all different emotions of all at once. And yeah, I definitely intended it to make people cry and laugh and almost ask almost ask the question, ooh, should I even be watching this? This so real and personal. Now, um, let me just say that the film started by me asking the question of what is normal? What does it mean to be normal? And what I realized is that normal is really defined by the individual person. It it actually doesn't exist at all. It just works, and so that someone decided to make up a long time ago, and so I decided, well, let's make a film to redefine what what is noble. And that's really what the film at its heart is all about. Um, so before I go any further, I am a straight white male with black hair and a goatee with cerebral palsy. So the other thing I wanted to say is that I actually didn't want to be in the film at all. Um, um, it was my um, it was my fellow producer Brandon Gordon who said to me, you know, Alex, I think we should really make a film about you and your life. Because you're so amazing. And this was when he found out that I was engaged and I was having a child. But the other person who really said, you know, you should make this film was one of my executive producers, Kevin Bright, who said that would make an amazing film, but I didn't want to make it about. I didn't want to make it about me and my life because I didn't want to get that personal. But I also didn't want to make it about me because I was not much more interested in making a film about other people, and I didn't want it to come off as self involved or.
Well, I'm glad that you did because it it definitely touched on some things that people, the marriage tax, the disability tax that we all pay, and we all get put on us like that we cannot do the things that are quote unquote normal. We can't or shouldn't be married. We can't or shouldn't have children. And seeing you um do all of the above and you know, even in the title, it's my own normal. Like, yes, that's it's what I've been saying kind of throughout this entire conversation about it's how we navigate the world. And just because we navigate it differently doesn't mean that it is the wrong way. Um, and you did it so beautifully to show your beautiful family and the way you got across to that, it was amazing. And so I'm really excited for everyone to see the film during the tour, and thank you so much. And again, I apologize for skipping you. It was very much an accident. Charge it to my head and not my heart.
That is all right. Just to let you all know, it it will be screening at 4 o'clock on June 12th in Salt Lake City. And you can also go to myownnomovie.com for more information. And then you can also follow us at my own little doc on 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 Instagram uh, um after this tour it is actually um it going to still in yeah it's going to still in India um um and a couple other places and coming this fall it will be on mostly all streaming streaming platforms.
Thank you so much. We're going to move on to um, Susan Schwib and Robert Arnav in Thunder Rolls, which is the world of blind baseball. Um, the World of Blind Baseball is a documentary directed by Susan Schwab and Robert Arnav. The film follows the baseball team Indy Thunder, whose players are all blind or visually impaired. It combines a thriller sports story with an educational message, showing how appropriate technologies and changed rules can enable individuals with disabilities to play competitive sports at Olympic levels. Phenomenal, Robert. And again, charge it to my head, not my heart. Um, please give us some more insight on your film and where it's going to be screening during the tour.
Well, hi, I'm Robert Arnold. Instead of the new kid on the block, I'm the old one. I'm going to be 88 on Thursday. Full head hair and a white beard. Um, this is really is an inspirational story, and it shows the full range of accomplishments and engagements of people who are on the team, and how they say that blindness does not limit them or define them. The real tragedy is the misconceptions people have what people who are blind and visually impaired can do. That's what it is. Um, the fact is, we followed this team, and unscripted turned out to be the best year for the team and one of the most exciting series ever. And it's an inspirational, humanistic story, and people want to see it. And they say, when can we see it? When can you show it? Well, we have good docs to distribute the film to an educational market. And we have Porter and Craig, hopefully, they will launch a distribution to streaming media this month. And we are so grateful to Slamdance Unstoppable Film Festival for giving us a chance to showcase the film. We're going to be in Salt Lake City next week, and then we're going to Chicago on June 8th. And the main thing that we all have is we make the film, we want to get it out, and we want people to see it and learn what people with different forms of disabilities, the full range of things that they can accomplish at the highest levels. And that was the goal of the film, and people see it. And it does not involve stereotypes. It involves the people telling their own stories.
Phenomenal. Amazing. Taylor's excited over there. And so you guys will be screening. How can we see more about the film or follow you on social?
Okay, so you can see more about the film. Well, my name Arnov, Arnov at IU, But as I say, Good Docs is distributing the film. It's already been distributed. It's reaching educational markets. The main thing is we want to get it out to the streaming media platforms, and this is what we're going to be doing with another distributor, Porter Craig. But that entails a lot of work getting copyright, insurance, and everything else. And someone
yeah.
say, is it worth it?
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So I know, like I said, charge it to my head and not my heart. I didn't even describe myself, and I look so fabulous today. I am Juliet. I'm a brown skin woman. I have beautiful curly purple hair, and I'm wearing an amazing shirt that says it's gray, and it says sickle cell messed with the wrong girl. That's right. So moving on, so that we don't cut into any more time to our Q&A session. I know you guys have a lot of questions, and everyone is bursting at the seams to answer these questions. So let's get into that. Taylor, you want to start with the first question?
Yeah, let's see here. All right. We have a question from Zach Damon. Nicholas, what was one of the biggest surprises or aha moments that you had during production? And then additionally, it's part of the same question, I suppose. What was a funny behind the scenes moment that you can share with all of us?
I had a pretty good aha moment, actually. During the filming of Disposable Humanity, when we were in Vienna, Austria, we went to Heart Time, which is one of the 6 T4 centers, and one of our interviewees who was taking us around opened up a crate that was in a closet and revealed a doctor's jacket. And this doctor's jacket wasn't just any doctor's jacket. This jacket, for years, was the jacket displayed in the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum and was the only evidence of Action T4 put on display. For years, it was just a doctor's jacket and a hospital bed. And so this coat had traveled all the way from the USHMM to Vienna, Austria, and then they put it in a box and said, we're not going to display it because we don't want to put focus on the perpetrators in our exhibit. And that was a really incredible moment to uncover during the filming of this film, which took 25 years to make. But just one of the aha moments, the incredible organic things that happen when you're doing original research and you're taking your camera and you're going right into these places, which are many of which are inaccessible and all scattered throughout Germany and Austria and Poland. And then you get to put them all into one film. So that's just one of the moments that we get to share in the film.
That's awesome. Thanks, Cameron. Wow. You know what? I'm not seeing the questions.
I think that question was actually for Nicholas. Is Nicholas still here?
Hello. Yeah. I think kind of answering both of those questions in one was discovering all of the fun things that our lead actress Angel's prosthesis can do, and sometimes she would just kind of reveal themselves to us on the set. So there's like a funny scene where there's another detective who's kind of talking down to her, and she flips him off, and then after another take she said, oh, I can make my hand spin, so the middle finger starts spinning around, and we chose to play it still very straight and serious, and that was just kind of like both a fun aha moment, like, oh, that's an amazing discovery that was, we did not expect to happen, and then happy discovery. Thanks.
So, sorry, Nicholas, I didn't hear that was for you.
Oh, it's all good. Yours was fascinating.
Okay. Taylor. Okay, this one is for everyone. What advice it's from Zach Damon again. What advice do you have for other disabled filmmakers out there in the phase trying to get production capital for their films? Anyone can take this. Let's see. Alexander.
Yes. To my to my to my advice is to get go try to um try to afford private private investors, um, uh, and and also people who really care about certain important topics that that have the financial means to support the film and to try to make a very personal connection and really tell them how important your film is and try to get them on board very early on.
Thank you. I do have a question. I'm really excited about this tour and the reasons behind it. And how we're taking a lot of what is unseen and making it, just putting it out there for everyone. What is doing this tour, and being a part of this Unstoppable on the Road tour? What does it mean for you and for the change in the industry? Like, how do you see it? I'll start with Nicholas is in front of me, and then
Great question, Juliet. You're reading my mind.
Yeah, I think it's integral to the type of change that we want to make. And just kind of speaking from a little bit of experience, I'm also the program director for the Los Angeles Diversity Film Festival. And we kind of incorporate all diversity, disability being a big one as well. And doing our screenings, you always have people come up to either me or the filmmakers afterwards and just say, wow, you really opened my mind, or that was something that I didn't know about. You totally changed my perspective. Or you have somebody who comes up to us grateful that they feel like they've been seen when they feel like they haven't been seen on the big screen prior to that. So doing screenings, doing this tour, I think is just I forget who said it, but somebody said it. Maybe it was Andrews. Like, this is not the whole step. Obviously, there's like tangible, real, vital work that needs to be done, but this is definitely good things that we're doing and a step in the right direction, and hopefully just opens minds and hearts. And also, just as a cinephile, I just think it's great to get people back into the theaters as we go tour across America as well.
Yeah. Basically what I hear you talking about is representation and the responsibility that we have when we do point that camera. And Adriana Spencer has a question that points to that. Wait, is it Adriana? It is. She says, could you speak on ways micro and low budget indie films can incorporate more accessibility practices at screenings? So if you're looking to add audio description, could it be as simple as working with a writer and asking them to approve the description they wrote in the original script and then recording that VO of the description? Or is there a more formalized process of guidance on how to do that? Are there 2 or 3 main accessibility modalities all films should include?
So I think, this is an awesome question. I feel like because of the nature of it, and it's kind of multi-layered, and if Lee, if you want to offer an answer, additionally though, some of what you're bringing up in this question is something that it might be also beneficial to answer it in an email, which I'm happy to do. I've got some links to PDFs for audio description, but also if you're working with your writer or you're working with a producer, or how to change a little bit the dynamic, so that you're also aware of, once you add an accessibility tool, it only enhances, it never takes away, right? So, but doing that, and also conversations I've had with Lee, understanding how does it affect the scene, and does more need to go into the scene now, because now you're seeing that it could be done in this other way. So, Lee, go ahead and if you'd like to answer this, and then we'll do one more question, and then we need to wrap up.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think one of the things that I would just recommend to any filmmaker, and I'm learning this myself as a filmmaker, put accessibility in your budget from the very beginning. That goes for closed caption, for audio description, for anything. One of the biggest things that filmmakers don't think about oftentimes is the post and distribution and accessibility being included into that. So they don't have the budget for it. And I understand that. But I'm trying to reframe my budgets now as a filmmaker on the producing end to include accessibility from the beginning, so that when the film is completed, there are companies that do audio description, both writing and narration, that you can go to. And I would say that's probably the best way to get going. There are different, different rates with different companies. And, I'd be happy to funnel any questions about giving any of you resources on where to go to find good audio description houses. But yeah, that is, I do think that that's just something that as a filmmaker, think about it from the beginning. Don't let it be an afterthought, but think about all the accessibility, the audio description, the captions, any other descriptive thing. And like Taylor, you were saying, it only enhances, and it can seem like a daunting process, but there are people out there that can guide you along that process very easily. And there are people that do this professionally, that will be able to bring the highest quality of excellence to the work. Because that's the other thing, is we want to make sure that that it's not just getting scraps of something, but that the audio description is very well done too, as with any accessibility feature on a film. Like I said, I'm happy to talk to anyone more about this as well.
Thanks, Lee. And not to reiterate this, but I do want to say that this webinar in and of itself is an example of that kind of sufficiency of finding tools and networking and new relationships and people that you can really reach out to and trust their process. And what Lee just shared as part of his answer, and everything everyone has shared in this webinar, that's why we're doing this. I mean, I know that, but it's so important to understand, and like it's a process, and it's something that for our own growth, no matter what we're doing, whether it's in front of the camera, behind the camera, however, being vigilant of tools and solutions and people that can really be like, priceless resources for you. That right there, I think, is such a game changer, because you're also reevaluating, your team and the people that you really know that you can trust, and it's just, again, it's that open line of communication, and being able to reach out and ask. So thanks for your question. It's an awesome question. And yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
and I just want to add that if you see Lee's film, his film is like the sorry to bother you of audio description. It has incredible embedded creativity in its audio description. And so when we talk about accessibility needs, they aren't just accessibility needs. They expand your universe. These are things that add to your story, that expand the universe of your story. And if you watch a film like Lee's, you can see how it can add a different perspective, a new perspective to your work as an artist. So I encourage all filmmakers, all artists to watch these films in the
Yeah,
tour
exactly.
and to get
Yeah,
new ideas about accessibility because it's a living, breathing thing.
totally.
I don't think you can just put it up front and say, yes, it should always go into the budgets. But also we know that films, they take a lot to get across the finish line, and so you piece things together. So I would just offer a counterpoint to that we got audio description when we won the completion cut award, the Laurie Narbus award at Real Abilities. And those types of support can also come in really clutch later in the process as well. So just because you haven't started thinking about it or you're like, oh, shoot, I didn't put this in the beginning budget, there's always time to come back and to expand the accessibility of your project, and it will make your project even better.
Thank you for that. Yeah. Yeah, because thinking about adding it to the budget for sure. I agree with Lee 100%. I always say consider as a filmmaker, you should be considering accessibility as part of what you need for your film, but also finding out the resources of how you can get these things. Just as we apply for grants for post-production and editing, we can also apply for grants and for audio description and request those type of things too. And the more we start to ask for those things, then these organizations will also see that this is a need and a necessity, and they will start to actually create grants, more grants for these type of tools and resources that we need for our films so that we can have, more accessibility in our filmmaking process and after we've completed the film. So thank you for that. I just want to do one last question, which was from Brian. I really love this question. He says, Brian Cohen says, I'm a neurodivergent writer director who wants to center actors and characters with disabilities. I'm still wrapping my head around the ethics of telling stories responsibly with characters that have disabilities, which I don't possess. I would love everybody's thoughts and impressions.
Talk.
I can answer that one. Hi, it's Sophie speaking. I mean, I'm appreciative that you're at this call. I mean, that's, a first step is to definitely engage with people who have disabilities. And I think that if folks are passionate about stories that have disabilities, maybe there's a way to also uplift those who are neurodivergent behind the camera. You can, if you want to write the story, I think it's important to probably have a co-writer who is neurodivergent or a co-director. And I think authenticity is so important, but that doesn't mean, your creative skill can't also work in collaboration. I mean, part of access is collaboration. I think it's a huge pillar. So I think thinking about how to get other disabled folks involved in front of and behind the camera is a great step.
I agree. I was actually thinking about Daisy and Sophie when I saw this question because I think that the film that you guys have, Possum, it's not specifically about a disability, but you see it throughout the film, and I love that. Sorry about my dogs, but I also wanted to say that having consultants with the disability that you may be trying to tell the story about is really great to have as well. Have somebody read over your work and see someone with that disability and see where things may need to change or little nuances on how things might be said or should say so that it comes off authentic in your storytelling. And also when casting, cast authentically because even if you haven't gotten a consultant, that person with that disability in that role, and you should have gave them the opportunity first, And if they're a great actor, yes, you've hired them. And then as they're looking at the script and trying to take on that character, they can tell you, well, maybe I wouldn't say or do something this way. I wouldn't move in this way because I would maybe do it this way. So those are the things, like that's why representation and authenticity is so important.
Yeah, and it goes back to that multiverse comment too. Like, we're never really going to be fully inclusive of every experience and representation of disability, which is why it blows my mind that many festivals, I would say most festivals, don't even have disabled programmers, that they're openly identifying as disabled. Because if you understand you can't even have one, then how are you going to have the representation of hundreds of different disabilities and the understanding and the need to see that on screen?
100%, for sure.
Yeah. So I think now, no, I don't want to, but I think now we need to we need to wrap this up. And I have one thing that I just want to say. The questions that are being asked here, the showcase and Unstoppable being, going to 7 cities this summer. There's so much that, whether you're a panelist here or you're an attendee watching, or you're watching the recorded version on the Slamdance channel, as you go to support, all of these incredible filmmakers this summer, because I'm hoping, I know that you will, spread the word about this, ask questions as you post, this is a journey, as Jim Lebrecht says, accessibility is a journey. And the more we ask questions, the more we can collectively know how to answer. And if you don't know something, it is far better to say you don't know than say you do, as Juliet and all of us, have experienced in one way or the other. So many times with accessibility, somebody will, whether it's an event or however it may be, if you find yourself, working on your script, shooting your film, whatever it happens to be, share with us, through your stories, through your socials, like amazing examples of accessibility, get out, support, like, let's continue to do all the good that we can together.
And continue to be unstoppable.
That's right. All right, everyone, let's give a round of applause. And 1 week away from Salt Lake City, baby.
The countdown begins.
Can't wait to see you there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Same. And our amazing Gabriel Eckert is going to be working his magic and taking this recording, flipping it, and putting it on the Slamdance channel. So you will get an email when that's complete and when you can view it.
Thank you so much, everyone. This was an amazing conversation. I wish we could go on longer. But in light of access, I do need to use the potty. So
all right, y'all. Submit to the screenplay competition and the festival. We'll see y'all soon. All right.
Thank
Bye.
you.